Hi, I'm Chef Kelly. Today we're going to talk about knife skills, but first we have to get ourselves set up properly. We're using a cutting board that has these rubber grips on the corners, which prevent our cutting board from sliding away as we're using it. If you don't have a cutting board with these types of rubber grip, you can also use a piece of shelf liner that you've cut into a square to fit underneath your cutting board, or you can alternately use a towel that's been soaked in sanitizing liquid and place that underneath your cutting board. Today we're also going to show you a trick so that you can get a little bit more height underneath your cutting board. It also makes the chop and drop a lot easier. And if you're a taller chef, it gives you a little bit more height and alleviates some of the strain on your back. Next, we're going to talk about our grip. So using our chef knife, we want to hold it in our dominant hand and put one thumb on the blade and then our index finger on the other side of the blade, holding it like this. Holding onto the blade gives you more control over the knife as you cut. With our other hand, we want to create the claw. So as we make our claw, we put it down onto the cutting board and push down just slightly so that our fingernails are hidden. If you peek over the top, you shouldn't be able to see your fingernails. Then gently tuck your pinky and thumb behind those fingers to keep them safe as you're cutting. So this bear claw is what will be holding the food, but also it creates a barrier and keeps your fingers safe as you cut. Next, we're going to work with our onion. So I've already washed these onions in advance. And the first thing I need to do is trim off the top of the onion, the stem end. I want to make sure that I'm cutting off as little as possible so that I get the best yield out of my onion. This is my AP onion, as purchased. Next, I'm going to put my onion on my cutting board with the root side facing up. This is really important so that as you cut the onion in half, you can ensure that there's a piece of the root on both halves of the onion. This is what keeps that onion intact as you're making those cuts. From here, I'm going to peel my onion, and I want to take off as little as possible so that I get the best possible yield from my onion. I'm going to turn it so that the root is facing away from me. With my grip, with my thumb and index finger on my knife, and then my claw with my other hand, I'm going to use the tip of the knife to cut straight down through all the way to the cutting board, but making sure that the knife doesn't go all the way through to the root. From here, where there's nowhere else for my fingers to go, I'm going to turn the onion so that the root is now facing me, and I'm going to work backwards and finish off cutting the onion. I want to make sure now that the onion is in the center of the cutting board so that when I chop, I don't have onions going all over the floor. Using my claw, I chop straight down, creating nice, even dice. Now, when I'm left with the root, this is still usable product, so we want to trim around the root. We're just going to cut into strips, discarding as little as possible of the root, and then turning and dicing those onions. From here, I'm going to do my chop and drop technique. I have my bench scraper ready to go, but if I didn't have a bench scraper, I could also use the back of my knife to scrape. I don't want to use the front because it'll dull the blade more quickly. So I'm just going to chop and drop. And what I have left is my edible portion of diced onion. So that's all we have for you today. Now go get chopping.